majority of time, nothing happens. It's just like on a police surveillance. You sit and wait, sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks, until something happens. Like I've never known a ghost case that is completed in 22 minutes, that's shot in one day. It doesn't work like that.
No, and it makes people have very unrealistic expectations that if they are having something unusual happening in their home or in their place of business, that somebody's going to just be able to come out, and it's like having Terminex in, oh, there's the roach, we'll get it.
Oh my gosh. And then you've got the other side of the spectrum where movies like Ghostbusters, like that was a hoot, and I understand that both the genres, whether they're far off the wall or if they're comedies, are certainly bringing an awareness to the paranormal and the supernatural, which is good. However, I think that people should really further investigate and filter what they're believing and what they're not believing, because I still talk to people on a daily basis who say, hey, listen, I know it's true because I read it on the internet.
Yeah, it's kind of like some of those old ghost stories you'd see in Fate magazine or the National Enquirer, and they make a good story. I used to enjoy reading my grandmother's copies of Fate magazine when I was a kid, but
wow.
Some of the real stuff is a lot creepier.
It is, and like you were talking earlier about your love for museums. And I've gone to the museums here in Ontario, and when we've traveled abroad, I've gone to the different museums. And just I'm sure you do the same thing, that you start visualizing what you're looking at as if a little movie is playing in your mind. And I'll tell you, that to me can be a lot more spookier than any ghost that may pop up. Because when you're looking at something 400 or 500 years old, it brings with it a lot of memories, and it brings a lot of challenges that we as a human race have faced over the years.
Well, and that's really where I think my idea for the Deadly Curiosity series came from, because the main character, Cassidy, is a psychometric. She can read objects by touch if they have a lot of emotional impact behind them. And if you think of the objects that are in your average museum, they're all there because they were witness to something major in history, often something tragic. Those have got to carry a lot of psychic baggage with them. And so Cassidy is able to sort some of that out, and especially where there's a supernatural, malevolent presence connected to that object, then she and her team take over to basically keep the world safe.
So what was your inspiration for writing Deadly Curiosities?
Well, a couple of things. One is I was on a business trip to Charleston, and I just fell in love with the city. It's so gorgeous. The architecture, the history, it's just a gorgeous city. And as I was walking around, I was thinking, I can't think of an urban fantasy series that's been set in Charleston. There are a lot of them in New Orleans. There are some in all the other major cities. And I thought, well, maybe I ought to do something about that. And then as I looked around and thought, well, okay, so if I were going to set a series in Charleston, what seemed to be the natural connections to the city? And having Cassidy be the most recent proprietor of Trifles and Folly, which is a 350-year-old antique and curio shop that exists to get dangerous magical items off the market, just seemed to be the kind of thing that would fit seamlessly into a city like Charleston.
I love it. It's a great concept, a great idea. How long did it take you to write?
It took about, I guess, a year and a half from the time I first got the idea to get the go-ahead, with the publisher that, we had a publisher for it and to run with it, and then to get the book written. But it was just a lot of fun because it was a very big departure from the epic fantasy that I've done. Epic fantasy is all third person. It's a much longer book, about 650 pages on average. Urban fantasy is first person. Of course, it's contemporary.
Sure.
And it's a shorter book. So there's some very different stylistic pieces, and it was a challenge to see, hey, I've got this story I want to tell, and it's got to be in a whole different format, and that was part of the fun.
You and I have to take our commercial break at the bottom of the hour with the news, Gail. Please stand by. Exonation, my guest this hour, is a lady that we've had the pleasure of having on the show before. Her name is Gail Z. Martin, and she's the author of the new epic fantasy series, Reign of Ash, and also Deadly Curiosities. And if you'd like to find out more information about Gail, where you can buy her books, and a lot more, visit her website at www.deadlycuriosities.com. That's www.deadlycuriosities.com. And Gail will be back with me on the other side of this news break as we continue here in our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And we reach around the world on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and our growing family of broadcast affiliates and satellite programming providers. My name is Rob McConnell. I'll be back with Gail Martin on the other side of this news break. Don't go away.
The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, everyone. Gail Z. Martin is my special guest this hour, and her website is www.deadlycuriosities.com. Gail, when you're picking a paranormal or supernatural topic for one of your books, what kind of research do you do in order to get it so right?
Well, I do have a lot of friends who have paranormal and clairvoyant capabilities, so a lot of times, I'll talk with them, and especially if I am trying to investigate what it's like to have a certain kind of information revealed, how they feel. I'll go to them. I also read quite extensively, and I'm always interested in any kind of a recap about paranormal activity, because anything I can find, especially from credible sources, people who are the real deal, who are out there working with it, that's what informs me. Plus, a fair amount of just intuition. I've been told by a number of folks who do have those abilities that I describe it spot on from their experience. So I guess I'm guessing right.
I think it's that you're doing a lot of research, right, and making sure that everything is dead on, because that's what kind of author you are.
Well, absolutely. I do want to get it right. I do want to show respect for people who have paranormal and clairvoyant capabilities. And I think that the research and interviewing people, talking with people, listening, and always looking for the details is how you create that sense of reality.
But you said something very important there, is you listen. And not very many people in the world today actually listen. Their idea of communication is a one-way street, my way or no way.
Well, that really doesn't lead to good outcomes.
I agree. I agree 100%.
And I think a lot of what I also try to do is to use my own intuition and imagination and say, if I had this capability in this situation, what would it feel like? What would I be doing? And really be able to empathize in that way. And I think that that's a key piece.
How has the reading public's acceptance of the paranormal and supernatural themes changed over the years?
I think it's changed tremendously. Years ago, as I said, I've always loved books about the supernatural and paranormal, and years ago they were hard to find. you might have In Search of Ancient Astronauts, but that was kind of tinfoil sort of material. And now there are supernatural elements in everything.
Yeah.
It's gone very mainstream. It's all over TV and HBO. And I think that makes people much more open to possibilities, and that's a good thing.
What's the hardest part about being an author in today's society?
People always ask you, when are you getting the movie deal?
Mm-hmm.
And, well, that's wonderful when and if that does happen. I hope that we always value books because they are just wonderful portals to other worlds.
How has the advent of e-books changed the publishing business, in your opinion?
It's given us another way to experience books, and especially for those of us who travel, it can be very nice to not have to carry a lot of heavy books with us on a plane or something. I think it's also made it easier for a lot of out-of-print books to come back into availability, and we're seeing that, which is just a fantastic thing. And, of course, with e-books, it's made it very feasible for a lot more material to come into the marketplace. And, some of that is great stuff. Some of it maybe not so much, but it's a renaissance in availability that is just really amazing.
In your opinion, as an established author, what are the pros and cons, in your opinion, between self-publishing and going with a publisher?
Well, publishing is a weird and wonderful world, and going with a traditional publisher often, not always, but often, can mean some money up front.
Mm-hmm.
That's an advance. And then, of course, working with people who take care of the details like getting the cover art and putting the book together so that it's laid out attractively, and making those really important deals to get the books into bookstores and out and out into the public, and doing the marketing in many ways that authors have difficulty doing themselves. On the other hand, with self-publishing, it's possible to bring material out that might have a small enough niche audience that a traditional publisher wouldn't find it profitable, but a large enough interest segment that an independent author can still do quite well off the proceeds. I actually have a foot in both camps. I publish my main series with large traditional New York and London publishers, but my two series of ebooks, John Mark Vahanian Adventures and the Deadly Curiosities Adventures, we bring out each month, my husband and I, ourselves, direct to Kindle, Kobo, and Nook.
Wow. What advice would you have for anyone listening tonight who wants to become or believes they have the story of stories and they want to get it out there?
Well, I think don't give up. Just keep on writing. The more you write, the better you'll get at writing. And so that's a key thing, is keep on writing. But, there's some wonderful, very accessible materials out there. I always steer new writers toward Writer's Digest books. They have a library of books on how to get published, how to prepare the manuscript, how to do a good job with things like dialogue and character and plot. And if you take the time to educate yourself on those basics and then keep writing and don't give up, it'll break through for you.
So how does somebody know if they have the story that everyone will love to read, or it's a story that they themselves are the only people who really like it? Like, is there any testing grounds where a publisher or an author can send their work to get an honest outside opinion?
Well, a lot of folks start by circulating their stories to a trusted group of friends. And that may not get you entirely unbiased feedback, but it does give you some very relevant feedback if you pick the right people who will tell you, hey, I really like the idea, but I got a little slow in the middle there.
Yeah.
And now you know what to fix. There are writers groups that specialize in getting together every month, and everybody brings a couple of pages, and they read them aloud, and they get feedback. That can be a wonderful thing. same kind of thing happens online. There are some